Hello. Oop, it's my hair. It's my hair. How's everybody? I am live. It is Monday. What's Monday? The 24th. The 24th. Yes. Let's put some lippy on. Got the lippy on. Shout out to Dana. It's her birthday today. So shout out to her today. Tomorrow's my sister's birthday. I remember when I was younger, usually at this time of year, we were traveling. This was our holiday season. This is when my dad got his holidays. And we would be starting to go to probably out to Jasper. And because we lived in Edmonton, so we'd go to Jasper, we'd stay in a cabin. Um, that's what I remember. It's a cabin in the middle of the woods. It was very rustic. I remember the smell of the soap when I was a kid. And then and I was told not to venture too far off from the cabin. Like if I was going to go out, I definitely had to be with somebody because what would there was bears. It was rustic, it was bears, but we'd go hiking and stuff. We went hiking all the way up to, and I think this was in August too, but we went hiking all the way up to the chalet. And I was quite little at the time, so my brothers would take turns putting me on their back and carrying me up there, and my dad. But when we got up there, the snow, like we could only get so far, and the snow was up to the roof of the chalet, and it was like the end of August. Uh, and then another time we were in Peachland and we were in a cabin up on the hill. So the lake is down here, the main highway, and this was the other side. Just visualize it, the other side of Peachland. But as you walk down the road, you could see the lake and stuff. We had to haul everything into that cabin. That cabin, yeah, it was another rustic cabin, like just basic um wood stove. Wasn't, my mom and my eldest sister, I think they had to go in there and clean it out and stuff. It was pretty rustic, but we had a blast. We would go for walks and stuff, definitely down at the beach at Peachland. And Peachland had a wharf where you could go and dive off of and stuff like that. And so we'd spend a few days in Peachland. We'd go over to Merritt, and Merritt was where my auntie lived. And she's the one with the gnomes, my auntie Grace. And she also grew gladiolas, like huge gladiolas, like just she had rows and rows and rows. Her gladiolas were known because she grew so many beautiful different colored ones and stuff. And then she would have at least a half acre of vegetable garden, like her vegetable garden. And then my uncle Len had a shed that was his woodworking shed. And he had all the tools, like he was a carpenter and stuff. So we'd go, and that would be our vacation, right? And it was very simple. We would be traveling with 6 kids in a Chrysler. You wouldn't see that today. Everybody'd be in a minivan, right? So that was our adventure and stuff when I was younger, and this energy kind of this time of year reminds me of that because my sister said they always forgot her birthday um, because we were out. And so sometimes she didn't get a cake and stuff, and it makes me so sad. Um, because she did so much and stuff. Um, when I was little, because there's quite a few years in between. I think there's 12 years in between me and her. So, and by the time I got to like 7 and 8, my elders were going off and getting married, and so it was just me and my other sister and my one brother still there. So life began to change quite in a different way. But even then, my next sister is 6 years older than I am. So Still another change, another, her world and my world were two different worlds, right? And how what she did and how she hung up with her friends. So you got to think 6 years, 6 years difference when you're a kid is huge, right? So, because you're off doing your thing, you might be 6 and your sister's 12. So she's out with her friends doing, you know, other things. I'm back home playing Barbies. So let's see what the astrology, there's a little bit of tidbit and funness for you. I feel today's astrology today is different. It's feeling, different. That sun in Virgo, moon ending in Capricorn, and after heavy South Node weekend, I feel this feels like the first opportunity to start asking, okay, what can I actually do with what I now know? But we are still between eclipses, right? So I wouldn't call this certainty. I'd call it ground beneath our feet while the landscape is changing. And the energy for today, for especially with the Capricorn moon and the Virgo sun, what practical movements make, like making the appointment, deal with the paperwork, clean something up, look at the numbers, finish what's sitting on your desk, pay attention to what actually is happening rather than what you thought was supposed to happen. That becomes especially important because Mercury is spending its final days in Leo. And this is before it's entering into Virgo. And we're shifting away from a big story, the big ideas, and perhaps even the attachments to this is how I thought it would happen. Mercury entering its home sign of Virgo shows me the facts, shows me what works, shows me what needs fixing, and then let me adjust. That may be one of our greatest tools heading towards the Pisces lunar eclipse on August 28th. And this week requires room for the unexpected. Mars is beginning to feel the squeeze by Saturn and Neptune. He's squaring over there, and he's squaring both of them. Well, the sun is heading towards its square with Uranus. There is a pressure building underneath everything that might otherwise look like an ordinary Monday. Plans can change, people can change their minds. Something you thought was on the table could suddenly become possible, right? So there's this energy of change that's coming, energy of transformation that's going on. And I feel like this is getting us to really look at things. Something you thought was off the table could suddenly become possible. Something you were convinced was going to happen may take a completely different direction. Lesson isn't to stop planning. Plan, but leave room in the plan. Virgo loves an instruction manual, but the universe may be rewriting a few pages while we are reading it. Instead of saying, this has to happen this way, try, hmm, if this happens, I'll do this. If something changes, I'll adjust. If another door opens, I'm willing to look at it. That's very different from being ungrounded. It's actually incredibly grounded. We're tuning to a different frequency. I love the image of the old grand piano being tuned. Some of the notes aren't sounding quite right yet. You hit a familiar key expecting the old sound, and something different comes back. That doesn't necessarily mean something is wrong. The instrument is being tuned. And I think that's what is happening collectively and personally. We're being asked to tune ourselves to something we haven't lived before. The uncomfortable part is waiting the final answer before the tuning is finished. And we don't have it yet. And with Pisces eclipse approaching, some things are supposed to dissolve before we understand what will replace. So today, the 3 cards that I pulled, and I filed them away already. The Fool reversed, the Queen of Wand reversed, and the Star reversed. All reversed. But this is where, with the Fool, it's like you can't blindly leap simply because you've decided this might or this must be the path. Look before you leap. You may even discover the adventure is beginning somewhere completely different. And with the Queen of Wands, tells me our confidence may be wobbly when we can't see things clearly. Don't confuse uncertainty with failure. And with the Star, you know, this is where a significance is heading towards the eclipse. We may temporarily lose sight, the guiding light, because we're trying too hard to determine. So you don't have to see 10 miles down the road. You don't need, enough light for the next step. You need to just trust in this. So today, I'm asking you, you don't have to figure out the rest of 2026. I'm asking what is working right now? What isn't? What can I change today? Where do I need another option? And where am I trying to focus something because I've decided it has to happen a certain way? Handle what you can, leaving breathing room. Rest when you need. And don't be frightened if something starts moving in a direction you never expected. This eclipse season, the thing you once thought was impossible may turn out to be the very thing that changes everything. So, affirmation today: I work with what is real. Remain open to what is changing. Trust myself to adjust as the path unfolds. Yeah, baby, that's the way it is. And like, subscribe, share it all out. It's the Guru Mama, Mama G here. Mama G Studio. That's where I'm going. I'm going Mama G Studio. Subscribe to Letters from Mama G. Links in the bio. Love you all. Bye bye.